Hello, everybody. It's Joe and Becca. We're here to answer your questions, comments, and concerns regarding the last chapter that you guys heard or read for Your Hero Academia, my take on the popular franchise My Hero Academia. Let's get to it.
All right. So, Kairos I like your name, sorry. An emitter quirk. Interesting. And now I'm getting ideas for a quirk, but I'm supposed to be working on the rewrite of my current story. Damn it. Yeah.
Dude, I feel that pain so much. I was actually talking to her about this earlier today, where last night I couldn't get to sleep till 4 in the morning because my brain was like, hey, you know how you ripped the story? What if you did this thing different at the very beginning of it? I'm like, stop it, shut up. You got 5 other projects working on. My brain's like, no, but think about it. I don't want to think about it. Think about it. I don't want to think of it. Damn it, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's just a creative brain problem. I have that problem too sometimes. Nice. All right. Oh, and then he also, Kairos also says, Kurai, grenade, Kyoka. Kurai, grenade, Denki. Double kill.
But he didn't actually get them with the grenade. Denki kind of fried it.
Maybe it's a reference?
It might be. I'm sorry, dude. If you're referencing something, I have no idea what it is.
Okay. Thanks for commenting.
I do appreciate that, though. Yeah, you've been following my stuff since Red Swordsman, so I'm very interested to see what you have to continue to say about this story.
Alright, cool. So, Majan Lightus, great chapter mate. Can't wait for more. I have to away to the EMP was a good idea. I also wonder, will Kurai become the class rep? That would be cool. Interesting question.
That is an interesting question. I suppose it would boil down to, do you think he has the personality to pull something off like that? You'll also hear the reading of the next chapter here in a few minutes, so that should answer your question.
Yeah. Cool. Alright, Fairy Sing Girl. Poor Iida. I actually feel bad that he ended up being partnered with Bakugo.
I feel like that's what we were all thinking the first time we saw that episode.
Definitely. Alright, Grimlock 987. Kudai's quirk is a reference to Transformers, right?
Yes it is. In name only, though. It was honestly the best name I could think of. It doesn't. I read the Transformers comics and saw the cartoons when I was really little, so I don't actually remember how all that stuff works. But yeah, that's the name that popped in my head when I was thinking up of his quirk. So yeah, it's kind of a reference.
Alright, so sorry, Fairy Sing Girl again. Sorry, I accidentally sent my review unfinished, so logging out and reviewing as a guest is the only way I can fix it.
I've done that.
Poor Iida. I actually feel bad that he ended up being partnered with Bakugo during that class. And Bakugo, with his pride and his grudge against Izuku. I'm glad Kudai did well, though, even though his plan prevented All Might from being able to survey his fight. At least he and Yairozu still won.
See, I had finished writing that. I had actually finished writing that chapter when I realized, oh wait, they've got cameras in the area. If he hit it with an EMP, that's going to cause a problem. And I almost redid the chapter entirely, because I almost redid the fight sequence entirely because I was like, well, I don't want his lesson to be interfered with. But then I was like, no, wait, this is kind of an opportunity to show how, All Might's awesome, don't get me wrong, but he's kind of silly when it comes to teaching at the beginning, so I just kind of wanted to see how he would handle it, and that chapter was the result.
Okay, so this should tell you how into this I am, because I guess it's been a while since I've seen the season, because I completely forgot. I thought that for some reason I just had it in my head that happened in the original, and so...
No, in the original she gets paired with Grapehead.
Oh,
yeah, and they showcase their fight for 2 seconds. It doesn't actually show who won or lost, but I'm pretty sure Yairozu would have won.
So there wasn't any pairing while all the cameras got turned off?
No, there wasn't. That didn't happen.
Yeah, so clearly I was so into it that I got confused between your story and the original. Okay.
Have you done that with any of my other stories?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Red Swordsman. That's right.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah, I get so confused with that one. Okay. Joe Clone. Oh boy, this was a great one. So basically, Kurai has a Batgirl-like connection to the police. I like it.
I hadn't thought about that, but I guess that's true.
Been acting. The plan of his was really smart, and I'm surprised you and Momo You made Momo his partner. I think they work well together. Still shipping her with Tenya though. Oh, I hadn't thought of shipping her with Tenya.
I don't really ship Tenya with anybody though.
Not yet, though.
Not yet, but like...
See, I feel like Momo... Who was it that I was shipping her with?
Todoroki?
Yeah, it was Todoroki.
Yeah, I think a lot of, like, that's where I go. That's where I go, and I think a lot of people do as well.
That's where they want us. I think that's what they want us thinking right now, at least. Anyway, okay, cool. Interesting.
In terms of ships for the show, I actually don't pair Tenya with anybody.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem like that kind of character.
I think eventually, yeah.
Yeah, it could happen. But
he's very goal-oriented. So
he's kind of got tunnel vision.
On the relationships. Yeah. Anyway, but that's an interesting thought. I'm going to give that one some thought. Yeah. All right. Yeah. The reporter mob episode is next. So I guess my question a couple of chapters back about the class president election will be answered shortly. Will Tenya do what he did in the manga/anime? Oh, by the way, I watched it subbed, but I didn't notice the lack of zygote comment last chapter, and I only noticed it after watching the video for this chapter. I didn't know the sub made a change like that.
Yeah, instead of in the original translation, apparently All Might calls them zygotes, which is what Gran Torino called him. And in this, he calls them newbies, which again is what in the dub is what Gran Torino would call All Might when he was training him. So I mean, I feel like it's the same either way.
I think Zygo probably just is funny if you're watching it. That's just one of those things with the phrasing where you just get used to hearing it a certain way or thinking about it a certain way, and then when it changes, you don't like it because it was like I feel like when it's your first time experiencing something, it just sticks with you. Like the first time I watched Full Metal Alchemist plain with the subtitles.
Did you call me a bean?
Yeah, that was just like the best thing that always stuck with me. Anyway.
And then the dub is always screaming, "You call me little!"
Yeah, so it's like, it's one of those things where the phrase, like the translation is kind of funky and the phrasing doesn't quite transfer. So whoever did the translation thought it would be funny either way.
Yeah. So some humor is going to be lost, but that's translations. Back to the Batgirl thing. I had actually not thought about it that way. I like it. I'm like, so as of recent years, I would consider myself more of a Marvel fan than a DC fan. But I did grow up watching like Teen Titans and I saw some of the DC Batman animated series. So I saw him with Batgirl and Robin a little bit. But honestly, I fell off of it for a few years, and I didn't actually know that Batgirl was Commissioner Gordon's daughter until I was like 12 or something. And I'm sure I'm going to come under fire for this. That's quite a while ago now for me. I mean, But back to the connection, like I guess it could, it could be like that.
It's similar, it's the same idea. Superhero with family and police force. They want to do good.
At least in this case, though, he doesn't have to hide stuff.
I'm much worse than him though, because the only DC thing I ever grew up exposed to was just the classic Superman movies that we would rent from Blockbuster, and more recently, our daughter watches DC superhero girls.
Which is surprisingly
adorable,
cute.
Super meta and hilarious. So
I love me some meta humor. And
sorry.
I think somebody actually complained about the meta humor that I had in this story, but I'm just like, well, deal with it, because there's gonna be a lot more of that coming up.
It's fan fiction.
It's fan fiction. I can do what I want.
All right, nice. I think that was what he was. Yeah, I think he mentioned the zygote thing. He mentioned Batgirl, and he's curious about how Tenya's gonna respond differently, because we have this new character thrown in, who's he's grown up with. He may act a little differently. We'll see.
Yeah, you'll be hearing my my dramatic reading happening here in a little bit. Do you have any more?
I think that's it.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Alrighty. Well, then you'll be hearing about it right about now. So, be back in a few. Chapter 5. Who will lead us? Are you kidding me with this? Kurai groaned. Second day in a row! Well, I suppose we should have expected something like this to happen, Iida said with a shrug. All Might becoming a teacher was bound to make the headlines eventually. Their commentary was the result of a mob consisting entirely of reporters and camera crews gathered in front of the school gates. Mere days after All Might had been announced as the newest UA faculty member, the media was vying for an interview with the man on campus. Their presence not only disrupted the normal routine for the students, it also grated on Kurai's nerves on a personal level.
I know, I just hate dealing with the press, the boy grumbled in response to his comrade's remark. They're always blaming my dad for whatever some villain escapes the police, plus a bunch of other crap I don't care for. I understand your frustration, but remember, if they stop us, we should be courteous to them, Iida said firmly. They do have freedom of the press. It doesn't mean I have to like it, he argued as they approached the gate. As soon as they started making their way through the crowd, a female reporter came up to the two of them and thrust a mic in their faces, asking, You two, you're some of All Might's students, aren't you? What's it to you? Kurai asked irritably. He hated being the subject of attention for strangers, and he didn't feel like entertaining the press after all the trouble they had caused his family over the years. It's a scoop, the reporter replied. So you in his class or not? We are, Iida answered, much to Kurai's displeasure, but he kept quiet out of respect for his friend. Great, the lady practically squealed with glee. What's he like as a teacher? He is the personification of heroism, as one would expect, Iida answered. His lessons are a tad unorthodox, but effective. While strict in the classroom, he is also unafraid to show his class a more humorous side. His very presence is a reminder to me that I have a long way to go before becoming a hero that any good citizen can respect. And furthermore... Kurai had to hide a smile as the reporter's face slowly wilted, realizing that she was going to get a bigger scoop than she had wanted. Unfortunately, his amusement was short-lived as another reporter, this one an older man, approached him with his own microphone. Hello there, young man, he said with a smile that immediately put the boy on edge. He had long since learned not to trust media people when they seemed friendly. Mind if I ask you a few questions? Actually, I ought to be getting to class, Kurai replied, reshouldering his pack and making to leave, until the reporter's comment stopped him mid-step. No comment, is that what your father always tells you? The man asked, maintaining his smile. Keep your cover up real nice so he doesn't have to answer. I've got a few comments in mind for you if you finish that sentence, Kurai said, just managing to control his expression while he turned back on his heel to face the reporter. You're here about All Might, yeah? And leave my family out of this. That would hardly be comprehensive journalism on my part, the man said, his tone becoming slightly condescending. After all, the son of the police commissioner, learning from the #1 hero in the world. Everyone will be dying to follow your career, and I'm very interested in getting the first scoop on what is sure to be a great hero story. If you have a question, just ask it, Kurai said impatiently. I have more important things to do than supply you with material for your fanfiction that you call a news channel. Even as he spoke, he knew this would likely come back to bite him, especially with more and more cameras pointing his way while the crews around him started muttering, having finally recognized him. After all, he looked a great deal like his father. All right, I guess I'll just settle for one right now, the man said, his even smile widening slightly. Does All Might encourage the truancy of the police force in Japan like your father does? Does he encourage you to be what the police should be? Psst. The reporters and cameramen all suddenly let out exclamations of surprise as their equipment went dark without warning. Some of them were shouting that the vans had also been affected. Sorry, looks like this interview has to be cut short, Kurai said with a smile of his own as he walked past a befuddled group of media members, the man that had been harassing him having lost a smile and practically fuming as the boy walked away. Maybe next time, huh? Pausing only long enough to grab Iida, he muttered, Come on, before they get their equipment going again. Did you cause that? The bespectacled boy asked as he was led away. Sort of, but it wasn't my quirk. Kurai snickered as they passed through the school gates where Mr. Aizawa was attempting to dissuade the press from bothering the school and its members. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out a handheld device with a single blue button on it. I knew the EMP grenade would come in handy again. You just kept that on you? Iida exclaimed. Does Yaoyorozu know you have that? Maybe. His friend shrugged as they reached the steps to the school entrance. Besides, this is hardly the time to be questioning a weird habit, Mr. I have 4 extra pairs of glasses in my backpack. My lenses have a tendency to break when I hit insects and other objects at high speed, the taller boy protested. It makes perfect sense. And I don't like being cornered by the press so they can take a dump on my family's life, Kurai replied. Makes perfect sense to me. As he finished speaking, they heard a series of rumbling clangs that caused the ground to vibrate. Turning around, they saw that there was now a second wall reinforcing the normal one, this one made up of metal and armed with stun guns of some sort. Looks like some people can't take a hint. He laughed as he started heading up the stairs. Serves him right. I suppose I can't condone the actions of would-be trespassers, Iida conceded as he followed Kurai into the school. All right, class, listen up, Aizawa said as soon as he walked in the room, looking even more tired than normal. He was a little late from having to deal with the media, but he clearly wasn't going to let that disrupt his lesson plan. There is a matter we need to address that will impact your futures. Ah, jeez, Kurai thought as he tensed up. Is he going to make us compete for the right to stay in his class again? It seemed as though almost everyone in the classroom was having similar thoughts, because the majority of them were all tensed up. You need to choose a class representative, Aizawa said at length. I swear that man enjoys psyching us out, Kurai thought with a roll of his eyes. However, his annoyance was only temporary since he had more important things to consider. Class rep, huh? In most schools, being the class representative meant a lot of extra work with very little reward, other than it looked good on resumes. At UA, on the other hand, people that accepted the role of class leader would be marked down for scholarships at the best colleges and endorsements from pro agencies. In an already prestigious academy, it was a way to gain almost guaranteed success as a pro after graduating. Whoever accepted the job needed to be confident, intelligent, dedicated, and perhaps most importantly, able to inspire others. It's definitely not me, Kurai thought with a rueful smile as others in the class began to clamor for the position, trying to garner support from their classmates whilst also competing against them. I don't have the head for being responsible for this bunch in any capacity. Everyone calm down! Iida shouted to be heard above the noise. When he had everyone's attention, he said in a slightly lowered tone, Bickering amongst ourselves loudly will get us nowhere. Whoever becomes the class representative must be able to take charge, and do it in a way that will set an example of heroism to the others, which is why I believe we should hold an election to decide this matter.
Is that really the best idea? Suyu inquired. We don't really know each other all that well, and now we're supposed to vote on who's going to represent our class for the year?
That may be the case, but it goes to show that whoever does receive the most votes is able to inspire enough of us to back them as a representative, Iida countered. I can dig that, Kirishima nodded. Makes sense to me, Hagakure added. There were various other agreements echoed throughout the classroom, so it seemed as though everyone was on board. That settled, Iida turned toward Aizawa and asked, Is that acceptable? To their surprise, the teacher was slipping inside his yellow sleeping bag as he muttered, Do whatever you want, just have the matter settled by the end of my nap. With that, he laid back and promptly fell asleep. Thank you for your trust, Iida said with a swift bow. Turning around, he said, Write down the name of the person you believe to be the best choice for our class, then pass it forward to the front. We'll tally up the votes from there to determine the winner. Well, I know who I'm voting for, Kurai thought with another grin as he reached for a pen and paper. When the scores were up on the board, Kurai had to reread it a few times to make sure that he wasn't reading it wrong. The only people that got more than one vote were Momo Yayorozu with 2 marks and Izuku Midoriya with 3. He'd only got 1? He thought, bewildered. But I voted for him. Wait, that means he backed someone else? Who? His thoughts trailed off as he saw Iida hunched over his desk, looking very disappointed while Izuku and Momo were named as class representative and deputy, respectively. Come on, man, he thought sadly. Really? In a way, he understood. His battle partner had shown excellent strategy and skill with her quirk during their class, and so her becoming deputy made sense to him. The green-haired boy had shown remarkable grit, talent, and power in his match against Bakugo, and had inspired the rest of the people in his class to push themselves as hard as they could in their own battles. So it also made sense to Kurai that he would be chosen for the class rep. Still, this role would have been perfect for Tenya, Kurai thought with a grim expression. Bummer. I know he would have made Tensei proud being class rep on top of getting into UA. Looking at the shocked Midoriya, he hoped that the 3 people that had voted for him knew what they were doing. The class broke for lunch after second period, which saw Kurai sitting with Izuku, Ochako, and Tenya. Midoriya was having a hard time stomaching his food with his nerves rattled as they were. Look, guys, I'm not sure that I'm cut out for this job, he mumbled, idly poking at his rice. There's a lot of pressure on me that I wasn't expecting. It'll be great, Iida said through a mouthful of ramen. Your calm attitude and quick thinking, in addition to the power you demonstrated, will see to it. Those are the reasons I voted for you, anyway. Both Izuku and Kurai did a double take when they heard that. Wait, you were one of the 3? The green-haired boy exclaimed. Hold on, you can't expect me to believe that you didn't want the job, Kurai interjected, looking askance at his friend. Hikari has a good point. You seemed really bummed out when you got outvoted, Uraraka said. You totally looked the part, too. Iida shrugged and replied calmly, Wanting a job and being suited to it are very different things. If I've learned anything from the Iida family agency, it's that. Agency? Midori repeated, causing Tenya and Kurai to stiffen in their seats as they realized the taller boy's error. Hey, that brings me to a question I've been meaning to ask you guys, Uraraka said as she looked at the 2 of them with a curious grin. You come from money, don't you? Kurai said dumbly, blinking a few times before he could form a proper answer. Not really? I mean, we're not so wealthy that we buy yachts on a whim, but I guess we're, well off? The question struck him as odd. But then again, they did come from Somei Private Academy, which largely featured an elitist student body. Maybe they looked the part? Iida glanced between the 3 of them for a few seconds before he let out a long sigh and muttered, I was afraid people would treat me differently if they knew about my family. When all Midoriya and Uraraka did was stare at him more intently, he gave vent to another sigh before straightening himself and saying, The people in my family have been heroes since the first generation of pros. You might say it's in our blood. That's so cool! The other two students exclaimed. Ah, boy, here we go. Kurai said with a slight roll of his eyes. He'd heard this speech so many times now that it was a little annoying to him. Still, he knew how proud Tenya was of his family's history, so he didn't make his protest too loudly. Feeding off of their classmates' enthusiasm, Iida asked, Have the two of you ever heard of the turbo hero, Ingenium? Yeah, I know all about him, Midoriya grinned, much to no one's surprise. He's a super popular hero with 65 sidekicks working with him at his agency. Wait. It must have clicked with the boy then because he started to say, Don't tell me. He's my elder brother, Tenya declared proudly with a large smile. Ingenium is an unmatched field commander who honors the hero code. So as the second son of the Iida family, I strive to be just like him. Your brother is awesome, Uraraka practically squealed. However, her eager attention quickly returned to Kurai as she asked, But wait, how do you guys know each other then? You came from the same school like Deku and Bakugo did, but you seem to get along way better. Our families have been friends since before I was born, Kurai answered, deciding that if Iida wanted to trust these guys, then he would too. Iida's dad was a pretty good hero back in the day, and he was known for being super helpful to the police force, where my old man was a detective when they met. They wound up busting a nasty smuggler's ring together, which took a combination of a few successful raids and some all-out battles between heroes and villains before it was all over. In the process of it all, they became good friends, and when my father kept rising through the ranks of the police force, they found themselves working together more often than not. Now Ingenium is the one helping out my dad in the field, while Iida and I study to become the next generation of heroes. Your dad's a detective? Midoriya inquired. Before Kurai could answer, Midoriya began to mutter, No, wait, you said your dad kept rising through the ranks, and since you've got to be at least 14 years old, if he was a detective before you were born, that means your dad's been on the police force for something like 20 years, which would make him at least a captain or maybe department chief, or I'll tell you, if you want, who he is. Kurai volunteered mildly, derailing Midoriya's rant. The green-haired boy began to apologize profusely, only to have Kurai raise an eyebrow for him to causing him to clam up entirely. Thank you. His classmate chuckled. My dad is the Mustafar police commissioner, Shigeru Hugosha, or if you like, chief of police. Wait, what? Midoriya and Uraraka exclaimed. I thought you said your last name was... She started to ask. My brother and I are registered in the school system under my mom's maiden name so we can avoid drawing attention to ourselves. Kurai interrupted as he made a motion for them to lower their volume. I've grown used to the name in public, and it's what Iida calls me, so I'm not really used to telling people about it anymore. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, Izuku nodded. These days, police get a lot of flack since heroes catch a lot of the bad guys, but even so, it's a really good profession, one that a lot of people underappreciate. Yeah, but villains will no doubt try to take advantage of my brother and I if they knew who we were, one way or the other, Kurai shrugged. I wanted to be a police officer as a kid, support my dad's life choices and all that, you know? But once it became clear how powerful my quirk was, Father urged me to go into the hero course if at all possible. He told me that whether I wore a cape or a badge, he would be proud of me. At the same time, though, he didn't want me to be held back by restrictions that being on the force would put on me. So, what did you tell him when you applied for UA? Uraraka inquired, her eyes wide with fascination. Kurai grinned broadly before he said, I told him I'd do my best to be a hero and that he and Mom could be proud of, on one condition. What's that? No capes! This sent everyone into a fit of laughter that took a little while to settle down, especially since they had seen All Might sporting his Silver Age costume not days ago, with its resplendent blue and red cape. As they started to calm down, Iida wiped at his eyes and said, But back to the original topic. My voting for Midoriya. When he had the others' attention, he continued, I may want the job of class rep, but I believe Midoriya is better suited to the job than I. After all, he figured out what the judges were really looking for during the practical exam. We'll need someone with that kind of foresight if we're to be the best students we can be. Actually, about that, Midoriya started to say, only to be interrupted by the loud sound of the alarm bell going off. Fire? Kurai guessed as he and the others got to their feet. Level 3 security breach, a female voice announced over the PA system. All students and faculty, please evacuate to your designated areas. Anyone know what that mean? Iida asked of no one in particular. It means someone managed to force their way past the security barriers, a third-year student exclaimed as he scrambled to get out of his seat. This has never happened in my 3 years here. They got past this school's defenses? Kurai asked incredulously as he and the other 3 students began to make their way out, along with everyone else in the cafeteria. That's bad. You think? Iida snapped as they reached the crowded exit, having to yell to be heard over the mass of frantic students. At least everyone is reacting quickly. Yeah, but they're also panicking! Midoriya shouted just before he was swept away by the crowds. Kurai engaged his quirk to shoulder his way through the other students while keeping a tight grip on Iida and Uraraka. Come on! He growled as he all but dragged them to the windows at the side of the hall. Let's see who's causing this. Whoa! Iida yelped. Ow! Uraraka cried. Hikari, you're hurting us! Sorry. He apologized, loosening his powered-up grip just a bit. I don't want to lose you guys in this mess. We're gonna have a hard time finding Midoriya as it is. Are you kidding me? His outrage was invoked as soon as he saw who it was that had made it past their school security measures. What? Iida asked, alarmed. Then he was pressed against the window alongside his friend, affording him a clear view of what Kurai was so mad about. It's the press from earlier? Why do those vultures... What? Why do those vultures ruin everything? The other boy complained. Can't even go to school without them screwing it up. Hold on, if it's just a group of reporters out there, then there's no need for all this panic. Iida realized aloud. Trying to raise his voice to be heard by everyone nearby, he started to shout, It's okay, everyone! It's just a... Another shove from a second-year student saw him firmly squashed against the glass wall. Well, that didn't work, Kurai grunted as he pushed back, allowing his friend some breathing room. Any other bright ideas? As a matter of fact, yes, his friend grunted. Uraraka! Yeah, she replied from where she was being shoved next to him. Make me float above everyone else with your quirk. The girl looked a little bewildered, but did as he asked, touching her hand to his shoulder while he said to Kurai, Once I'm up, throw me to that spot above the stairs. Are you sure about that? He asked as Iida began to float above them. Might be a rough stop. Just do it! And that, my friend, is why I voted for you as our class rep. Kurai said as they walked into their classroom, finally having been given permission by the faculty to return to their normal classes. It had taken some time, but the police had shown up and gotten rid of the reporters, arresting a couple of them when they resisted. Watched them spin at his meat tattling to my dad about that incident this morning, or saying that he wants to ignore the freedom of the press, he thought with a heavy sigh. Iida had actually been able to get ahead of the majority of the panicking mass of students, and grab their attention by standing on top of the exit to the staircase. He had further been able to calm them down with the news that they had nothing to fear from the mob of the press that they had forced their way onto the campus, reminding them that even if it had been a real villain attack, they were UA students. Panicking and mobbing was not behavior befitting of a school of their renown. The student body had been able to proceed to their designated areas from there on without the fear of being trampled. Now they were filtering back to their homerooms to await their instructors. So it was you that voted for me, Iida remarked as they made their way to his seat. I thought as much. It means a lot, even if I think your vote was misplaced. He sat down with a slightly rueful smile and pulled out his homeroom notebook. Taking that as a sign that the conversation was over, Kurai patted him on the back and left with the words, I don't think so. You'd be the best class rep in UA. Once Mr. Aizawa had returned to the classroom, he told the class representative and deputy to step up and deliver their first address to the class. So, Midoriya began shifting awkwardly. There's something I feel like I should clarify. Yaoyorozu looked up at him, confused. Apparently whatever he had to say hadn't been discussed with her beforehand. Still, she had kept her peace while she waited along with everyone else to hear what Izuku had to say. He didn't have to keep them waiting long. I just wanted to say thanks to those that voted for me, but I'm not cut out for this, he said quietly. Several of the students in the room murmured in surprise, but Kurai made no effort to contain his grin. He had a feeling he knew where this was headed. Midoriya went on to say, At the least, I don't think I should be here, because there's already someone more qualified than me who should lead us. Looking at his taller friend with a determined tilt to his chin, he added, Iida was the one who was able to calm us all down earlier, and he did it in a way that managed to inspire a lot of us. He kept his head in what could have been a real crisis, which is what a real hero would do. He's the one that should be class rep, not me. Iida looked dumbstruck, and even more so when his classmates began to chorus in agreement with Midoriya's decision. Then his dropped jaw was raised, and he looked as if a new purpose had infused him when he got up from his seat to stand up in front of Izuku. The green-haired boy grinned and held out his hand for Kurai's friend to take, which he did readily. Thank you, Midoriya, Iida said somberly. If you believe in me, then I will do my best to uphold our class's expectations. Turning to Aizawa while the other boy went back to his seat, he asked, Is this all right, sir? Yeah, whatever. The man grumbled as he rolled over in his sleeping bag. Congrats, you're the new class rep. Thank you, sir, Iida replied with a sharp salute. The majority of the class offered him their congratulations, though some of them managed to poke fun at him at the same time. Only Yaoyorozu seemed visibly disgruntled by this turn of events. Hello, she complained of no one in particular. I got one more vote than he did. Congrats, pal, Kurai said as he clapped Iida on the back on their way out of class that afternoon. Told you my vote wasn't misplaced. You're going to be great, Iida, Uraraka agreed. She and Izuku were walking with them on their way out of school, intending to head for the bus station. I'll bet Ingenium is going to be really proud of you, Midoriya added. Thank you, the new class rep said with a nervous grin. I admit, I am excited to see how he reacts. Turning to his best friend, he asked, Would you like to come tell him with me? Thanks, but I'll pass, Kurai chuckled. Much as I would love to visit your brother, I feel like this is something you should tell your family alone. We'll celebrate this weekend, yeah? All right, I like the sound of that, Iida nodded. I'll inform my parents. Perhaps we can get our families together again for lunch. Sure thing, I'll ask my folks, too. His friend said as they took a step down the stairs. He was about to add that they should have a barbecue when someone calling his name from up the hall stopped him. Hey, Hikari! He turned to see Mina jogging toward him with a big grin on her face. Got a sec? Yeah, he called back. Turning to the others, he said, Go on ahead without me. I'll catch up in a few minutes. We'll wait for you by the front gate, Midoriya promised him as they left, lightly pattering down the stairs. With them gone, Kurai walked toward Mina, meeting her at the halfway point between their classroom and the stairs. What's up? He asked as they came to a stop. He still felt awkward around the attractive pink girl, but after being so keyed up from the false alarm earlier, just about anything else in comparison seemed relaxed enough to him. Well, it's a Friday afternoon, and I was wondering if you had any plans for tonight or the weekend, she asked with a large grin. I feel like we hit it off during the entrance exam, and when we sat together at karaoke, I had a blast. I was hoping maybe we could hang out again if you had some free time. He stammered. A thought occurred to him, and he narrowed his eyes slightly as he asked, Is this another thing we're going to be forced by peer pressure to sing in public? No, it's just me. Mina giggled. So, what do you say? Want to hang? Sure, he said before a better sense got a hold of him, another thought stealing into his mind at lightning speed, even as her face lit up like a Christmas tree. Hold on a sec. What's up? She asked with a slightly cocked head. Are you asking me out? He asked, paling a little bit. I guess, she shrugged. I hadn't really thought about it like that since you seem like the kind of guy that likes to take things slow, but if I misjudged you... You didn't? You didn't? He admitted with a nervous laugh. I'm sorry, this is new territory for me. I'm not the most socially linguistic guy around. Well, then we'll just be two UA students chilling out. She grinned brightly, seemingly unaffected by his reticence. Sound good? Yeah, that I can do, he said with a sigh of relief. Does Sunday at lunch sound good? Sure, Mina said happily. Once they had traded contact information, she declared, It's a not date. Great, he grinned, then froze as she skipped away, apparently to join up with Jiro, Yaoyorozu, and Asui. Wait, a not what? He called after her. I'll explain it on Sunday, she laughed over her shoulder. I do not understand girls.
And we're back. I'm hoping that chapter made at least some of you laugh a little bit. Because I don't know if this is stupid, but I made myself laugh writing it a little bit. You thought it was funny.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
At the beginning when, it's Kurai, right?
Yes.
My brain is, I'm so tired. I was like, am I bringing up the wrong original character? I don't know. Yeah, I like how he, the reporters, he totally shut him down with the EMP thing that he snagged from his previous class with Yaoyorozu.
I don't know if snagged is the right word. He didn't give it back.
To it, yeah. But it was funny. I think
like
Aizawa will have a kindred spirit in this character.
I like the banter that I put between him and Iida, because like Iida's like, why do you have an EMP grenade in your pocket? And Kurai's like, why do you have 4 extra pairs of glasses in your pocket? And they're kind of arguing about that.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, like that
was very Iida, and I like how he has this friendship now that we get to learn about.
Like, I would say that Iida's character. I wouldn't say that Iida's character has loosened up a great deal because of his influence. Because, like, even spending time around people like Kaminari and Kirishima and stuff, he's just as uptight as ever. Mm-hmm. And one more person, even one that he grew up with, isn't going to make too much of a difference because there's certain aspects of your nature that don't really change.
And it seems like they were raised pretty similarly.
I would agree with that.
For the most part, and it's one of those things where it's like nature versus nurture. They both kind of had very similar environments growing up.
But
their
personalities are clearly different.
Personalities because of just who they are. Yeah. So that way, it hasn't really changed him a lot from the original. He just has this neat background of having this friend who he has with him to kind of keep sharpening, like we talked about before, kind of sharpening each other. And
speaking of backgrounds, we kind of get a little bit more of an insight into Kurai's life growing up, and I based this largely, I honestly based this largely off of the second episode where All Might's talking to Deku. He's like, if you want to help people, you should become a police officer. They get a lot of crap because the heroes catch most of the villains, but it is a good profession. Mm-hmm. So I kind of took that and upscaled it a little bit because people that are in charge are always the ones that get most of the flack. And Kurai's father's the police commissioner in one of the most heavily hero-populated cities in Japan. So of course he's gonna. So like any negativity, I feel like is gonna be thrown on him because nobody wants to bash on the heroes that are out there looking cool and doing all the heroics and saving everybody. They've got to vent that negativity somewhere. So my natural inclination would be to have it aimed at the police officers.
Probably, yeah.
So we kind of see that we kind of start understanding a little bit more about why Kurai's kind of cynical. Like when him and Mina first meet, she was like, "Geez, why?" She's like, "Why are you such a pessimist?" And he's kind of like, Now we're starting to see like where that comes from. Sorry, you got something to add?
Go on.
I'm sorry. Let's see what else happened in this chapter that was significant. Iida didn't win by election, but but I thought it was important that Kurai voted for him, because he's known Kurai a long time. He's known Iida a long time, and he's like seen him grow up, and he's like, yeah, man, you'd be perfect.
Yeah,
for this
he
job.
knows his friends, and he already knows what in the original and in this one, it pretty much plays out in a similar manner with the election, and then Iida eventually them like kind of nominating him at the end because of what Izuku says.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool because you get this inside perspective of like he already knows what everybody else kind of has to figure out through the course of this episode with breach and security and everything.
Yeah, and Iida's the one that's able to calm them all down.
He's got that leadership skill.
Yeah.
That and I think I was asking you earlier. It's interesting because Kurai, he's similar to Iida in some ways, but it seems like he doesn't really care for that spotlight, and so I feel like for me it'll be interesting to see how he's similar and different to the kind of hero that Aizawa is, because he. Aizawa almost like...
He tries to avoid the spotlight.
Yeah, he avoids the spotlight. And it almost seems like Kurai is. I know you want him going a slightly different direction.
He doesn't care. Like, a lot of people that go to UA, they want to do it because, it's a way to become a top-ranking hero because, you come from School of Prestige. And a lot of students that graduate from UA do end up in the upper ranks of the heroes. That's just kind of how it works. Kurai's there because he believes it to be the best education that he can receive in order to become a hero and be able to use his powers at his discretion in order to help people in need. If he ends up in the spotlight, so be it. But if he sticks to the lower ranks, he doesn't care.
It's more the negative press that bothers him, or is it more relating to his family?
I think it's a bit of both. He doesn't like the press in general because he thinks that they bring a lot of bad light onto his family.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out moving forward, because clearly these guys are going to be dealing with press a lot in their future, and he's going to have to kind of navigate this a little bit.
Yeah.
To figure out how he really feels about it, and it might change for the better or the worse too.
Yeah, he may become more because right now he's kind of cynical, but he's not at the point where he's like jaded like Aizawa is. He's kind of at a point where he can go either way, and so as the story unfolds, and events happen to him, we'll get the situations that he ends up in will alter his character and the way that he sees things. But which way that's going to go yet, I'm not telling you guys. You're going to have to read the story.
All right, and then. What we talked about, the election, and then that kind of goes through the same way as the original. And then at the end when they're walking home,
he's starting to walk home. Mina calls him over.
That's right.
She's so he tells his friends that, hey, I'll catch up with you. And then she kind of asks him out, and he doesn't really know what to make of that, but he agrees to go along with it anyway.
Awkward boy.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to handle.
Really awkward. I can't handle this boy.
I'm sorry, is it because you can relate? No, I've never actually been on a not date, so like I don't know exactly how those work, but I'm trying to do it to the best of my interpretation.
That with your friend? I don't think that's actually like a thing.
It's not?
The only person I've ever heard talking about a not date is you.
I thought that was...
No, I'm pretty sure you coined that.
Did I coin that?
Yeah, because I think he had a friend at one point who was going on not dates with a not girlfriend, but they kind of were, obviously if you're dating, you're dating.
Yeah.
But it was just like...
Did I come up with that phrase?
I think you might have. I could be totally wrong and sleep deprived. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong and it's actually from something. But
I thought he came up with it.
Your friend?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to.
I guess that's not an actual term.
You guys will have to tell us if that's actually from something.
Yeah, but like, I hope you like. I think they get the idea of what's happening. Yeah. So it's like I'm interested to see what this does to his character because like he's very cautious. He's kind of wary of other people, and here comes Mina's whirlwind of hyperactivity and kind of happy-go-lucky, and she's a cute guy, and she's like, "Hey, let's go out." And he's like, "Okay, wait, what?"
Which is interesting. Yeah.
I mean, like,
See, I feel like you're gonna get some hate too, because a lot of people ship her with
Kirishima. I ship her with Kirishima.
I do too. Yeah. I think we've said this before. I'm sorry. I'm a little.
Yeah, we have said this before. Let me reiterate. I am a hardcore Kirishima Mina shipper.
I love it, especially with like episodes that I've seen. That I've rewatched recently and just watched their interactions. I'm like, yes, I totally ship them. This is an alternate timeline. Don't hate us. We don't. Yeah, that's not.
This is just a fun what if, guys. No, it's fun because like I actually, I remember writing this chapter. I'm like, do I want to kind of start kicking things off now or do I wait for later? And I decided to go with now because for most of my life I was like, I was pretty cautious about people that I went out with. But funny enough, and she was the same way, but funny enough that like, the both of us, when we just started dating right away.
Yeah,
and neither one of us
had
done that before.
relationship either of us had ever had when we like never, not even been friends before. We just
started dating.
When we met.
Yeah.
And so
it was like a 3-week grace period.
Yeah, we met and then started.
Sparks fly.
Yeah, we didn't actually know each other. We'd only ever dated best friends before that.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to
play with that because I feel like a lot of your relationships are more slow burn.
Yeah, typically I would say so.
So you're kind of.
I'm
playing with writing this kind of relationship.
Well, yeah. Each project that I write is trying I try to challenge myself by writing different how do I put this? Not writing different styles, but
it's different types of exercises. Just like
that's the word I was looking for.
If you're an athlete or an artist, you practice doing different
exercises or techniques
so that you can sharpen your skills in your own practice. So yeah.
But I think that's all I have to go over for tonight. Thanks guys so much for watching. I hope I see you for the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and be plus ultra.